This is the new TC Pride Podcast, episode 127, on location at Minnesota Lynx Headquarters with Carley Knox, Lynx Vice President of Business Operations. Twin Cities Pride Podcast, we are here at Lynx Headquarters in downtown Minneapolis for a very special episode of the TC Pride Podcast, and I am here with
Carley Knox. I am the Vice President of Business Operations and oversee the day-to-day business of the Minnesota Lynx.
Awesome. So we're here to talk all about the Lynx today. As an organization, their commitment to diversity and inclusion, and more specifically, something I'm really excited about that I just learned about recently, the Lynx's President's Circle. But first, we wanted to get to know Carley a little bit. We want to talk a little bit about your background, maybe how long you've been with the team, and how you ended up in Minnesota.
Absolutely. Happy to tell you about that. So I'm actually from Toledo, Ohio originally, which is, about an hour south of Detroit. So I grew up in all the Detroit sports and cheering on the bad boys back in the day with the Pistons and all the Detroit teams. So played every sport, you name it, including football all the way through middle school, full pads with the boys, and played tennis and basketball and soccer, and always knew that I wanted to be in athletics when I was growing up and thought I was going to go on to be a D1 soccer coach. And so I was recruited all over the country for soccer and was All-American in soccer and decided upon Ohio University. So had an incredible experience there and won a MAC championship there. And from there went on to the Atlantic 10 Conference, so a Division I school, St. Bonaventure University, and coached there and started my master's in psychology. And then had an opportunity to come back to Ohio and for two reasons. One being an opportunity to work with an LPGA tournament, the Jamie Farr Owens Corning Classic. So Jamie Farr from MASH, if you remember back in the day, is actually from Toledo, Ohio. So all of our staff always look at me and wonder what the heck I'm talking about when I talk about Jamie Farr, but I'm like, Google him. So a legend from Toledo, and he has one of the biggest LPGA tournaments in Toledo, Ohio, which is a lot of fun. So I came back and did marketing and sales and operations for them. But the real reason I came back to Ohio is to study my passion and do some coaching. And I did a double master's in women's studies and sports sociology, examining how you can use sport as a vehicle of change, and taught undergrad classes there, senior level course there, and did a very long 2.5-year qualitative research study on how homophobia operates in women's Division I collegiate athletics, and just had an incredible experience there. I got offered a job to kind of stay on and continue teaching, but wanted to kind of move on with my career and had an opportunity to go work with U.S. Soccer in Chicago, or go work with the Detroit Shock and Pistons, who grew up on the bad boys, and they were awesome role models and so much fun. Detroit against the world, and at that time, the president with the Detroit Shock and Pistons convinced me that I'd be doing more good fighting the fight for women's athletics by coming to work in the WNBA, and so they convinced me to go that route, and so I was there from 2005 to right up until I came here in early 2010. Was there for 2 of the 3 world championships with the Detroit Shock, which was absolutely incredible team and amazing market, and still to this day one of the largest, actually I should say 2 of the largest crowds in the history of the WNBA. And then unfortunately our owner passed away and we lost our WNBA team, and want to kind of continue on with my passion of working in the WNBA. And so that's what brought me here in 2010 to work with the Minnesota Lynx. And 15 years later of being in the WNBA and kind of fighting the fight, that's all she wrote. And I just absolutely love what I do and come to work every single day and feel like I'm helping to change the world.
Well, wow, this sounds like a lifetime passion for athletics and equality. It sounds like the Lynx got the right person for the job. Speaking of which, we wanted to talk about the Lynx as an organization a little bit. So first of all, I wanted to ask you about sort of the Lynx relationship with the Wolves. It kind of seems like, every time the Wolves are mentioned, like the Lynx is also mentioned at the same time, and vice versa, which I think is awesome. So people probably know that, the Lynx are multi-time world champs. But what people might know a little bit less about is the way the Lynx are so dedicated to giving back to the community. What can you tell folks about that?
Absolutely. So I'll answer your first question first. And I think you're seeing it when you walk into our facility here with the Lynx and Timberwolves offices. And now we have our E-League team as well. And everywhere you see a Timberwolves logo, you see a Lynx logo as well. We have this absolutely gorgeous practice facility here that thank you to Mayo Clinic for being an incredible partner and, having the best at what they do right across the hall in case we ever need any medical attention for our players and staff. And And so the facility is like none other in the entire WNBA. So there is no WNBA team that has this gorgeous facility and the type of medical care that we have, and just unbelievable relationship with the Timberwolves, and that it's a different era after we do this. After I've been doing this for 15 years, I will say there's a new era of NBA players that have come through who are very enlightened and supportive and all about collaboration and us being in the player lounge together and getting to know each other and coming to each other's games and cheering each other on. And it's a different era, and they just appreciate each other and good basketball and how they're making an impact in the community. So it's really a beautiful thing to see over the last 15 years how this has grown and what we've been able to build together. And in terms of the Lynx, I would just say it's why I do what I do. Just incredible community leaders, and I'm so proud of our players and the impact they've had on society, not just locally but nationally and even internationally, with the fact that they, as soon as they're done here, they play all over the world, whether it be China, Russia, all over Europe, etc. So, and they're just great people on and off the court. They all have different nonprofits and causes that they're passionate about and ways that they are giving back, whether they have their own nonprofit or are invested in various nonprofits in the community. And just so proud to be a part of what we've built here. And I think we're showing the world what's possible, that people do care about women's athletics, and that, what we've built here with, one of the largest season ticket member base and some of the largest crowds in the history of the WNBA, that people are watching, they care, and they believe in what we're doing.
And so we mentioned that the Lynx, you're involved in a lot of different ways in the community. One of the ways that you're involved is in your support for the LGBTQ plus community and diversity and inclusion on all levels. We were involved, so I'm on the board for Quorum. We were involved with your Pride Night last year. That was amazing. That was so exciting. I imagine you guys are doing it again this year. So we wanted to give you a chance to talk about that. Why is it that the Lynx have such a strong commitment to diversity and inclusion on such a deep level?
Yeah, I think what we're doing is so much more than basketball. And for us, it's fighting for all marginalized groups. And it just so happens that a number of our players and coaches and myself and other staff happen to be members of the LGBTQ community. So it's very authentic and organic, and, think that it's incredibly important. And every day is Pride Day for us, and what we do and who we are. And, really excited for what we're doing around Pride this year and our Pride platform. And, just to give you a quick overview, it's not just about the game for us. It's some really important programming that we're going to be doing. So throughout the month, we're going to be doing some volunteering in the community with our staff. Additionally, both ourselves and the Timberwolves are going to be in the Twin Cities Pride Parade this year, which we're very, very excited about, with staff, mascots, players, coaches, and some really fun kind of marketing elements as well, which we're really excited about. Where, the Lynx have always been involved in one way or another, and we always do our Pride booth with both teams represented as well. And so it will be a month-long initiative for us, and then excited about what we have coming up on Friday, June 14th. We're playing the Connecticut Sun, and, with wonderful partners around the Pride Initiative, being Excel Energy, Empire Entertainment, i.e. the Poorhouse. We always partner with Twin Cities Pride and Lavender Magazine as well. And so this year we're doing something a little bit different. I really think it's important for us to have meaningful conversations on what's going on in society and how we can help and get awareness in what's going on. So we're going to do some inspiring, influential conversations with the LGBTQ community, and each of the communities will be represented. So, to name a few that are already confirmed, we have Congresswoman Angie Craig, who's the first lesbian mom elected to Congress to represent the L. We have Dr. Margaret Charmoli, who's a host of a Bi Cities cable TV show and a bi activist as well. We have some great people who I can't talk about yet underneath the G and the T that we're waiting on full confirmation. But representing the Q, Erin May Quaid is actually going to join us as well, who, as you know, was a running mate in 2018 with Aaron Murphy for lieutenant governor, and was DFL endorsed, and the first LGBT person endorsed to the ticket of a major Minnesota political party happens to be Jewish as well. And really excited to have all three of them confirmed, and more to come on that front. But we'll have really meaningful content throughout the entire game, working on a super cool giveaway as well. and including our players and what pride means to them. And then post game, we're going to have a fun celebration at the Exchange and Alibi underneath the Poorhouse with an LGBT DJ and 2 Lynx players as well. And then we're at Connecticut Sun. Their coach happens to be a gay man, Kurt Miller. He is confirmed and will be coming as well, working on potentially some drag performers, and Twin Cities Pride will be hosting a silent auction. So really excited about what we have going on for Pride. And, for us, it's about, the authentic, meaningful conversation and bringing the community together.
Absolutely, and one of the ways that the Lynx has been investing in equality and in women's athletics and diversity inclusion is was something I just learned recently about, and that's the Lynx President's Circle. So first of all, kind of like I thought we could maybe set the stage with talking a little bit about the history of like women's athletics and Title IX, and sort of how that relates to the President's Circle initiative.
Absolutely. So I believe, as most of your listeners would know, there is no Title IX that protects the WNBA. So it's just all of us Bulldogs that are fighting every single day to get people to put their money where their mouths are and actually buy season tickets or be a corporate partner of the Minnesota Lynx, and not just assume that the team will always be here, not just buy a ticket to watch us win a championship, but really just like we do for the men's sports teams in town, to genuinely put their money behind their mouths and support this team and make sure that this team is around for a long time to come. And for us, like I mentioned before, using sport as a vehicle of change, and that we are fighting for all marginalized groups. But for us, I believe it's also about raising the next generation of enlightened boys and girls. And I have a 4-year-old son, and he's never missed a Lynx home game his entire life. And it's fun because our fan base is getting to watch him grow up and just be, completely surrounded with strong, powerful women. And he won't know a world where a woman can't do exactly what a man can do. And, he's just... It's so cool to see how this has influenced him, and he's just so loving and kind and sees no differences, and that's what makes me so hopeful for the future generations.
Yeah, and so for people who might not be familiar with, so Title IX is it's basically what the government's way of, theoretically, I guess, ensuring equality between women's athletics and men's athletics, on a school level, right?
Yeah, so it's an educational amendment in 1972, and essentially it was to help bring equity across any school that receives any sort of federal funding. And it can be from kindergarten all the way up through college, for example, and it can be around science or math or opportunities. It obviously it affects athletics as well, and it has to do with participation and everything from funding to practice facilities to uniforms, travel, etc. And so obviously Title IX is why I was able to go to an incredible college and get a free education, but also why I do what I do, and really was the reason that the WNBA was birthed. And I think it's an absolutely amazing amendment, and I still think we have a long ways to go, and there's plenty of infractions that I could refer to that are still kind of being fought with wonderful nonprofits, but we have come a very, very long way, but we just got to keep the fight going.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled that you're one of the people that's out there fighting, like you said, like a bulldog out there, fighting every day to make sure that good things are happening in that space. So we want to talk about the President's Circle, kind of how it got started, whose idea it was, and kind of how it's grown since its inception.
Absolutely. So wanted to create something that was really special and organic for those that were the most passionate supporters of the Lynx, and that they truly got on a visceral level that what we're doing is more than basketball, and that we are using sport to try to make the world a better place. And so, the WNBA 2 presidents ago, Laurel Richie, tried to create a similar type experience across the entire WNBA fan base, if you will, but they were going to have to fly to New York for each of the experiences. So never really got off the ground. So I kind of took that idea and I'm like, what is an experience that we can provide for these diehard supporters that allows them to have unprecedented insider access to the franchise, also use us as a creative way to give back to the community and send underserved children to see these incredible role models, in the different theme nights, and, seeing them on the court, win 4 championships in 7 years, and, get to experience that way. And then also make sure that we're supporting the WNBA and the Minnesota Lynx, so we make sure that we have this team in this league for years and years to come for future generations.
Yeah, what I really love about the President's Circle, so it's like super duper VIP access, but then you're also helping the Lynx in all their efforts to give back to the community. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really excited about the type of experiences we're getting to do, from anything from dinner with the WNBA president, which we'll have a brand new one this year, which, knock on wood, will be very, very soon, to a reception with Glenn Taylor, our owner, who's absolutely amazing and incredibly supportive of, not just the Timberwolves, but the Lynx as well. And he's been hugely impactful in the history of the WNBA. And we're so lucky to have him. I may be biased, but believe he's one of the best owners in the WNBA. And we believe women should support women. So we did a really cool event with the Whitecaps and brought a big group out there, and spent money to bring them out there, hear from their business director, watch them absolutely demolish their competition, and then got to do a meet and greet and a photo session with their Olympians that they had on their team. So those type of things, to going out and supporting the Minnesota United and all the wonderful ways they're giving back, and hear about the future of women's professional soccer in this state, to the tie to Prince, who was a massive Lynx fan, who, after he won 2 championships ago, invited us out personally to Paisley Park, and he put on a private show for us. And so Prince was a massive, massive Lynx fan. So tying into that and going out and having a VIP experience at Paisley Park, to, some of the really intimate experiences of coming and watching a closed practice and getting meet and greet with their favorite players, and hearing from Cheryl Reeve, our head coach and general manager. And then the other elements of, like I mentioned before, sending underserved children to games, to doing nonprofit of the game for a cause and a nonprofit they're passionate about, where we'll shoot a PSA with one of our Lynx stars, and they'll get to play it at a game and bring a group from there and get tremendous exposure. And, our fan base, whatever we do, they're so supportive and will show up and support what causes we care about. So it's been incredible, heading into the 4th season. It's grown exponentially every single year, and, have incredible support from, wonderful, really enlightened, larger companies and organizations, such as Allianz, for example. And then we have small women business owners that are a part of it, and then just really passionate fans as well. So it's been pretty incredible. Frederickson and Byron has been a part of it. You name it. We have a website, MinnesotaLynxPresidentCircle.com, and we have a directory on there of all the wonderful, amazing, enlightened people that are a part of this incredible circle, that all kind of share the same values, that also recaps, what's involved in the President's Circle and the type of events that we're doing. They actually just got to come out to the Lindsay Whalen press conference. So I'm sure you saw we're retiring Lindsay Whalen's number this year. So excited about that. And they got insider access for that, and got to do a picture with Lindsay and the trophies afterwards, and be the only fans there, which was pretty cool.
That's right. And so I'm paraphrasing from the from your promotional materials for the President's Circle, but it says something about so members of the President's Circle, they're generally like leaders in the community, people that believe strongly in equality and everything that the Lynx are trying to accomplish. You mentioned that there may be some big corporations out there that are supporting these efforts. There are also, like you said, small business owners. Is there anybody else that maybe wanted to shout out that's been involved recently?
So, 2 of our founding members who have been here, this is their 4th year. So they came in year 1, are Sherry Brockhausen and Irene Corshey. So Sherry owns Cutback Films, and then she also owns Butcher Salt with her partner, Jean. And then they also own the food truck and Dots Gray as well, which is a restaurant. And then Irene Corshey is a vice president for Target as well. So those 2 have been incredible founding members. And additional members I'd love to mention are Cheryl Green and Angie Craig. So Congresswoman Angie Craig and her wife Cheryl Green, who are incredible community leaders, and love them to death. To UBS Financial, to, I mentioned Allianz before, to Sears Imported Autos, to Rasmussen College. So just a variety of organizations. And then, like I mentioned before, Empire Entertainment is a part of it. And then Kate Wolf and Marianne Christensen. It's just a variety of people. So I'd love to send people to the website so they can see these impactful people who kind of share the same values of the Minnesota Lynx. And certainly thank you to all of our members, and just excited to continue to welcome in new members to the President's Circle this year as well.
Yeah, and we should also mention that there are multiple levels that people can join, right?
Yeah, so there are 4 different levels. Obviously, the various levels have various access to the team and, additional ways to impact the community and give back through us as well. So, again, Minnesota Lynx PresidentCircle.com lays out each of the different elements that are involved. But, the core of our events are the ones that every single member will receive in those insider access events.
Awesome. And so, since we are here at Lynx headquarters, we should probably talk about basketball a little bit. So the season is starting soon. So we're actually recording it right here, and there's a buzz in the air right now. There's here training camp is starting soon. There's a lot of big things happening within the very near future.
Absolutely. So we're really excited. I mean, for those who follow the Minnesota Lynx, I'm sure they know what's going on. And, knock on wood, it's been an incredible ride. I mean, 4 championships in 7 years is one of the most successful professional sports dynasties of all time. So proud to be a part of that. Obviously going through a little bit of transition with the retirement of Lindsay Whalen, Maya Moore deciding to take the year off to focus on her ministry, and then Rebecca Brunson and what she was going through with kind of what was going on last year with the concussion that she got at the end of last season. So obviously a transition time for us. And I think a lot of people started to count the Lynx out, but our coaching staff and GM have been working really, really hard to kind of retool, if you will, and continue what we have built here culture-wise, which is a wonderful culture of just really good people on and off the court that are humble, that are about the team above themselves, and just so excited for this season. So Danielle Robinson, she was injured at the end of last season, spent the entire offseason with us, working hard every single day, with our assistant coaches, and just getting healthy. And she looks absolutely fantastic. So starting point guard for us.
Mayo Clinic probably helped a little with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayo Clinic and Dr. Nancy Cummings, who's absolutely incredible. And our training staff, Chuck Barta and Kate Tabor as well, spent the entire offseason here working hard with her amongst other players that would come to town. So, obviously Simone Augustus was flying in, Sylvia Fowles, and they're just looking fantastic. We're really excited about that. Some really important free agent signings as well. So Karima Christmas Kelly, a super successful player from Dallas, was an important free agent signing for us, as well as Damiris Dantas, who is a Brazilian player who played for us several years ago, went to Atlanta, and we were so excited. We lost her in the trade to get Sylvia Fowles. We're so excited to have her back because we feel like she's coming back home to where she belongs, and Damiris is super excited about that as well. And yesterday, I'm sure you heard, there was some really big news with the trade. We traded Alexis Jones, who love Alexis, love AJ, wish her the best of luck. And we got Odyssey Sims, who is a super talented player for the LA Sparks and was definitely one of our banes in our rivalry with LA over the years, and very fiery and passionate, and so excited to have her in a Minnesota Lynx uniform. And obviously, just recently we had the Minnesota Lynx draft and got Collier, who played for UConn, super talented all-around player who we're excited about, who our head coach and GM, Shell Reeve, coach with USAB. Excited about Jess Shepard, one of the stars for Notre Dame, and the list goes on and on, whether it be the Buffalo player. We actually drafted a player here from Minnesota as well, who we're really excited about, and then had an awesome trade with Connecticut to pick up another guard. So, in terms of people counting the Lynx out, I definitely think they shouldn't. The staff has worked really, really hard and kind of retooling, and at the end of the day, bringing these incredible people into the culture that we've already built, of this dynasty. So I think we're all incredibly excited for the upcoming season. I think our fans feel it too, and there's definitely a momentum building as we approach the 2019 season.
Well, you've got a few fingers left. I know you spoke at the Quorum Awards last year. You said your goal was to fill them all up at some point. So good luck. It sounds like you're well on your way. So as we're wrapping up here, I guess, I just wanted to sort of open the floor, I guess. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about the Lynx organization, either as a basketball team or about, your commitment to diversity and inclusion, anything that we forgot about that you wanted to make sure people know about the Lynx?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so proud of our franchise and our players and coaches and the impact we're having on society. And, an example last year is, unfortunately, after we won in 2017, we weren't invited to the White House to do what we would normally do to celebrate winning the WNBA championship. So, instead of, kind of taking the lower road, if you will, we took the high road. And when we went to Washington, D.C., we went to an underserved school. And through our partnerships with Air Jordan and Nike, I was able to get Air Jordan shoes for every single one of these kids in elementary school. Got Nike to sponsor the socks. We got both of our congresswomen, we got a number of Congress people there, I should say. In addition, both of our senators, Senator Tina Smith and Senator Amy Klobuchar came. Cheryl spoke to the crowd. We had both of the senators speak to the crowd. We did a really cool partnership with Samaritan's Feet, and our players and staff actually washed the children's feet and spent some time kind of getting to know them and motivating them, and then did a clinic with them, and then they got to hear this really amazing celebration. And what we would normally do at the White House, we did at this elementary school, and got national media out of it. And ultimately, like, it represents who we are in taking the high road and kind of peacefully protesting, if you will, but also giving back, because that's what we do, and that's why we do what we do.
That is so cool. So kind of on a side note, so diversity and inclusion in general, is it still kind of an emerging sort of concept and space in a lot of ways? So Miguel Ramos from the Minnesota Twins, he's been in the podcast before. He was actually Quorum's Ally of the Year this year. He talks about how diversity and inclusion is really more about than just checking a box, right? And it's really about a year-long commitment to those values. And it really sounds like the Lynx is not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, like on a very visible and very sincere level.
Yeah, I mean, it's who we are, and it's who we've always been, and we've been doing it before it got cool for other professional teams in town to do it. This is what we've built our league on, and built our values upon, if you will, is fighting for all marginalized groups, and it just represents who we are. It's certainly not a box that we check. It's our lives that we live every single day.
Absolutely. And you talked a little bit at the beginning about, kind of like why you do what you do. I just wanted to, as we're wrapping up here, to kind of ask you to maybe take off the vice president hat for just a second. And I wanted to ask you what it means to you personally, like on a personal level, to be involved so deeply in all of the amazing work that the Lynx does on a daily basis on such a deep level.
Yeah, I mean, it's what makes me tick. Soccer is my first love, but I've spent 15 years in women's professional basketball. So, because I truly believe in what we're doing in terms of making the world a better place. And the fact that I personally get to come to work every day and work with these incredible people who all share the same values as myself and the team is really a special thing. And, fills up my soul every single day. And, those moments when, I walk into a Game 5, a championship sold out crowd, and they're all screaming. And, I walk in, for example, when we were playing Indiana one year with their president, and she walked in and she said, "Holy bleep." And she was so blown away by the amount of people that we brought in. Those are historic moments. They're part of a movement. It's part of really making a societal impact. And that's why I do what I do and what makes me tick. And I've always kind of been passionate about fighting for marginalized groups and making sure people are given a equitable, fair shot at opportunities in life. And, it's a world that I want to leave to my son one day, and I want him to kind of continue on this passion. And so I just feel really proud of what we all have been able to build here.
And so we mentioned that the season is starting. It's right around the corner. Where can people go online to get tickets, merch, and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. 612-673-8400 is a great place to call to get one of our sales executives to find the perfect package fit for them, whether that be season tickets, half season, flex, et cetera, et cetera. We have some incredible games and highlighted games to come to this year, including the Pride Night and Lindsay Whalen's retirement number. She's the first player in the history of Lynx to have her jersey and number retired that will lift into the rafters, ironically enough, on the day that we play the LA Sparks. So really excited for that game on ABC. And then, have wonderful games throughout the whole year that are branded and themed in various ways, whether it's Native American Heritage Night, a Pride Night, We Are Women Night, STEM Night, et cetera, and helping to drive more girls and women into the STEM fields, which obviously is an important field, especially here in the Twin Cities. So I encourage people to come out, enjoy these different theme nights and ways that we're kind of giving back and impacting the community, and support these unbelievable women that we have on the court, and including our staff as well, and be a part of this special journey, because it's been an incredible ride, but we're certainly not done yet.
Well, thanks again, Carley, as always, for your time. Good luck with basketball and all of the other stuff that the Lynx is doing this year and into the future. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Ryan. Take care.
The TC Pride Podcast is a production of the nonprofit podcast community and Twin Cities Pride. Subscribe now on iTunes, on Android, or by email, at tcpridepodcast.org. Because we're in this together. NonPod turns your email newsletter, blog, or video content into a more powerful, more personal, more intimate, on-demand listening experience. Your podcast, your story, your voice, simplified, amplified. Learn more now at nonpod.com.